What is up, guys? Sonduren Canadian Rider. I'm with Mike from DRS North, and we're going to be breaking down our analysis of the 2022 Australian Grand Prix. Race, it was 1 a.m. Eastern time, so the race is all the way down under. We had some, surprises this race, and I think we also had, some kind of unexpected things happen that I think will impact, honestly, the rest of this Grand Prix and the Drivers' Championship. So give me your take. What happened with the race? I think for the most part, some surprises across the field. Leclerc obviously starting with pole position, holding that pole position for a victory. But let's go through the field. What are your thoughts on this race in Australia?
Yeah, perfect. So I think firstly, my biggest shocker with the 2 weeks is McLaren used that very well. They made large strides. It was good to see both of them in the points, especially with this being Daniel Ricciardo's home race. Another kind of shocker that, jumped out to me was Haas. Again, I thought they were on the up and up, and, they just made the claim that they were going to be scoring points in every race for both cars for the first half of the season. And, they both were out of the points. Outside of that, Red Bull's really got to figure out their reliability issues, because it seems like Max and Leclerc are just so far ahead of the rest of the field. But, if Red Bull can't get the car to the finish line, then it doesn't matter how good their car is.
I completely agree. Another disappointing engine problem for Red Bull. I was worried when I saw that happen. I'm like, uh-oh, is something going to happen to Sergio again, just like the last race?
Yeah,
And I don't know what the issue was. I don't know if there's speculation, but it looks like something obviously overheated again. Well, apparently the first issue wasn't an overheating issue. It was a fuel issue. But this one looks to potentially be overheating, or something else happened. I don't know if they've got any analysis on that yet.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to look too deep into it. Like you said, it was a 1 a.m. Eastern race. So, by the time we stay up till 3-4 in the morning, and then we're recording it the next day. So
for sure. Well, actually, in this case, it's been the Ferraris have been doing well, but obviously Carlos Sainz did not finish the race. He didn't even start off too well, quite honestly. So it was a little bit of an outlier there compared to what we've seen from him. We had Charles obviously first, Sergio coming in second, and then George Russell coming in to round out the podium. And then Lewis Hamilton. Again, are we seeing some life back out of Hamilton and this Mercedes? Are they figuring out the quirks, or is this simply because the field is still very competitive and there's these shots here that Lewis does have to actually come into podium contention? I'm not sure. Are they figuring it out? It seems to be working for Russell.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both for sure. I think that he's kind of getting his groove back, as well as this Mercedes is figuring it out. And I think it's great for Russell to have the podium, because, a lot of people throwing shade that now, at least he has a podium now because Spa didn't count. But I think it did, because it was one of the best, qualifying laps of all time with the weather and everything. But
right.
I really was happy to see Sergio and Russell on that podium.
Yeah, for sure.
And the other thing that was actually really good and shocking was Alex Albon and Williams.
Yep.
At least, Latifi's still crashing and stuff in qualifying, but
but he didn't crash for an entire race.
Exactly.
This is
so that's great. And honestly, both of us as Canadians, I really would love to root for a Canadian, but Stroll is not checking his mirrors and driving overly aggressive, and Latifi's always crashing. So it's hard to get behind. But again, on Stroll and Aston Martin, now that Williams scored a point, they're the only team that has yet to score a point this season.
Wow, that's crazy. I guess, hey, that's everything F1 wanted with these new cars and new regulations, was to make it more competitive across the field, and that's what's happening. So teams are scoring points, which is awesome. And then the revival of McLaren, kind of took me for surprise. I thought, honestly, I was going to write them off for this season. Lando, 5th position. Daniel Ricciardo, 6th position. I'm figuring that they've done something to the cars, but I'm not 100% sure.
They had to, right? And like I said, that's why I expected to be at least the third race that we'd see something, because of the 2-week gap. We have another 2-week gap to the next race, so we will potentially see a bit more shakeup. When they're back-to-back races, you kind of expect that you're not going to see too much change between the races. But again, we got another 2-week gap, so hopefully we can see some progress.
Right. And actually, if you look at the times across the field, you'll notice they're quite spread out. So obviously the Ferrari had tons of pace. I think a lot of that for Charles, the Ferrari's pace was obvious throughout the race. Even Alpine, by the way, doing really well. Esteban Ocon, 7th. Valtteri Bottas, again, continues to crack those top 10s with Alfa Romeo. Hey, I've always been a fan of Valtteri Bottas, and again, he's pulling up his weight. Really happy to see that. Pierre Gasly with the AlphaTauri, 9th position, and Alex Albon, obviously, you just mentioned, in 10th, picking up those points. which is awesome. Yuki Tsunoda didn't fare as well as Pierre Gasly. I don't know what your take is on that.
I don't know if it's just he's over what the reasoning is there yet, right? You always are shocked when you see teammates so far apart.
Right.
So I think that if you look at the kind of the pack, right, the big teams that are really far apart is Williams, the difference between Albon and Latifi, and then I guess AlphaTauri, the difference between Tsunoda and Gasly.
Right.
So you always wonder what's going on there, if it's driving style that just doesn't suit the car or what it is. But
right. And Zhao just finishing outside of the points. Hey, I think for his first season in F1, like, he's doing pretty well.
For sure.
So hats off to him. You know, he's close to break points. He never got there. The Haas cars, a little bit of, issues, right? Kevin went off the track a few times. But maybe this was just a little rough patch for them.
For sure. But right now, I mean, with Sainz getting out, it was kind of like, we can keep the constructors standings a little tighter.
Right.
But it's still like it's already look right now. It's like a 39-point lead between Ferrari and then Mercedes actually being second, which you wouldn't, expect. But just again, because they have more consistency, 3, 4, 5s every race versus, Red Bull's like either win or lose. Winner gets D and F.
Wow. Yeah. So looking at the constructors, Ferrari 104 points. Mercedes 65 points, Red Bull 55 points, McLaren 24 points. Those are the top 4. So Ferrari, that's a big lead already this early into the season.
Exactly.
And the way their cars are running, it's going to be tough for like Mercedes and Red Bull. Those teams have to like kick it into high gear now. Like there's no chance to wait anymore. So as they go to Italy and Imola, they're going to have to figure something out to displace these Ferraris. But obviously, I think the Ferrari, it feels like the Ferrari had the pace of the Mercedes from last season. And that's one of the, obviously, the wild cards here that's really helping push Ferrari to these podiums and to these wins.
Exactly. And if you even look at the Drivers' Championship, right? Like Leclerc is like double second. Like George Russell is actually second in drivers.
Yeah, wow. So, the driver standings are even more eye-opening. You're absolutely right. Leclerc, 71 points, number 1. George Russell, number 2 at 37 points. Sainz at 33 points. Sergio Perez at 30 points. Lewis Hamilton at 28 points. It's a tight midfield for second, but Leclerc, just with those 2 first-place podium finishes, or, like, you can't fight that. Like, if he's going to continue to be number 1, he's going to take this Drivers' Championship early in the season.
Yeah, for sure. Like he has like such a nice buffer now for him that he can even have a DNF 1, maybe even 2 times, and it won't impact his chances at the drivers.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm concerned for Max Verstappen. Max is very aggressive just naturally, so there's gonna be times through the season where he's not gonna finish because of some sort of accident, get off the track, whatever. The fact that he's had 2 DNFs this season for car issues on top of that worries me a lot. I don't know if Max is maybe going to have to drive less aggressively and put himself in not those situations where he could potentially not finish a race. Like, he needs to finish these races and get those points. So that's 2 18-point races that he just gave up. That's 36 points he gave up when he was in second place because of those engine issues. Otherwise, he'd be right in it with Leclerc. But because of that, obviously, just toasted right now in 6th position for the Drivers' Championship with only 25 points.
Yeah, like you're saying, like if he finished both of those in second, he'd be, like you said, less than 10 points behind him. And who knows what would have happened in the last 20 laps yesterday, that he could have even got first, and then they'd be like almost neck and neck points wise.
It's going to be a tough uphill battle.
It's going to be great.
And they're going to Imola in the next race, which is
home court advantage, I guess, for Ferrari, right? And all the fans. And
you know what? Is this like the early part of the season where it could just really be pivotal and write the season home for Ferrari? This is probably going to be it. Like, this is such an important race now going forward. Like, they need to lock this down at home, and they basically will have the Constructors and Drivers' Championship. Like,
for sure.
Seriously.
This is what the momentum that, Red Bull had last year, where they were looking like they were going to win both trophies. And then there was the Silverstone race where, Max got 0, Hamilton got 25. And that was like kind of the pivotal moment. Again, if Max just finished all the races, it would have been a double championship, no chances.
And correct me if I'm wrong, who was the winner from Imola last season? Was it Daniel Ricciardo?
I think, yeah, Imola was the weird race that, yeah, it was
Everyone
Daniel
was
Ricciardo
crashing
and Norris, I think, right?
Right. Yeah. So obviously we didn't see what a true race would look like without so many did not finishes coming out of Imola. But Imola is going to be on Sunday, April 24th. 9 a.m. That's going to be a huge race. I think this is obviously going to be one of those TSN turning points that we're going to see for this F1 season coming up here. Who knows? They have 2 weeks from now. I think more of those car issues can get fixed. I hope Red Bull fixes whatever engine issues that they have right now. We'll see what happens if McLaren. Have they fixed their problems? Are they going to show up well again in Imola from last season? Let's find out. It's going to be exciting. Anything last thoughts going into Imola, Mike? What are you looking for? Do you think Ferrari's going to take it at home, or do you think someone's going to come up and surprise?
I think they're going to take it again, and I mean, we'll see how, you know, Red Bull's reliability issues, if they fix that, and maybe Mercedes can make a couple more strides, and maybe even as well McLaren, and then we'll have again a four-way race, which would be great for the sport as a whole.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's my hope, but I think in reality we're going to see probably, you know, a double Ferrari podium and either Red Bull or Mercedes as kind of that third spot.
And I like Imola. It's quite a large, winding track. Good opportunities for, you know, coming down the straights. Lots of good DRS zones. So it'll be really exciting. If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys like this video and also make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also, check out Mike and his channel at DRS North. I'll link all his description and details in the description box down below. Can't wait to watch the race in Imola. Once again, we'll drop our full analysis and race coverage of that race immediately following. Really looking forward to covering that, and we will catch you guys in the next video.